Okay, we're on. Guys, I'm so happy to have my friend Francesco Rossi on the podcast. Francesco, how are you doing today?
I'm good today. It's a great day.
It is. It is. Before we get into all the questions, Francesco, can you give us a little bit of background on where you're from? How did you get introduced into basketball? And how did you get introduced into coaching? Or how did you get into coaching?
Okay. So it's not a funny story. It's a normal story about my background in basketball. I mean that I start to play basketball in 1990. I was 8. Thanks to my friend Fabio. As usual, there's a friend who play basketball and involve you in some way. And so I started to play, but at 16 years old, my coach said, okay, you are good, but not so good. So can you please help me with the children? It was okay. I continue to play, of course, low level, but in a fun way, of course. And so I started at 16 years old to coach the little kids. And day by day, it's my job and my passion right now. I'm from Italy. Italy is a soccer place, but also basketball is popular. And in my area, I live close to the lakes in the North Italy. I live in a town on the Lake Maggiore, and there is a club since a long time. So I started here, and I'm still here because we have a great club for youth, and so I work here in Italy.
Amazing. And I want to just dive right into your book because you have a brand new book. I bought it. I highly recommend it to everybody. It's one of the most out of the box thinking books when it comes to conceptual Princeton offense for high school players. Can you tell us, how did you get involved? Or because another thing, Francesco, I forgot to mention to you is my mother is from New Jersey. So I actually went to school right outside of Princeton, funny enough. So I've been to Princeton many times. But how did you get in touch with that style of play and their concepts? And why did you think that it was appropriate to bring those kind of concepts back to Italy for your boys?
So it was a need, because I was a young coach. I was studying, and I'm studying right now, different kind of offense, not only for my team, but just to know, just to learn something. And in that period, 12 years ago, I had a big fat center in my team. Actually, it was really, really fat, but great hands and great vision of the court. It was great to play, but not in a good shape. It was really fun. And in the meantime, I was studying something, and I found on the web a lesson of Pete Carril in Madrid in 2006. So, because I'm not so keen on technology, so I printed these lessons, 30 pages, so a lot of sheets of paper, and I start to learn from this lesson in Madrid about Princeton offense. And it's a matchup because I had a fat center with great hands, great vision, good to pass the ball. And in the meantime, I was studying Princeton offense style. So it was like an engagement immediately. I fell in love with the Princeton style. And then, I continued to study this style, and it was really useful for the players to play without the ball, to pass, to move, to screen, to do everything they need to learn basketball when they are young. So that's the story. It was an engagement casual. It was random. I was studying a lot of styles, and the Princeton was perfect for my vision in that moment of the activities.
So when you talk about the Princeton offense, you talk about a conceptual style of Princeton offense. How much of it is set plays as opposed to concepts that you want to install?
So in my life, I don't like rules. So so run a set plays for me it was boring as a low level player, and I mean I prefer that my players have freedom to show their talents and to make mistakes. If I teach basketball with set plays, I force them to do something, and they cannot discover the game. They cannot learn from the game. They just play for me what I show them. And I don't like the style. I mean, could be an option for some coaches. I don't know. I don't want to control the game. I don't want to control them. I want them to be free, to express something, to try. And so I don't want call plays during the game, during the practice. I want them just to choose, to make decisions, and to show their talent. And that's it. That's why I don't want set plays. On the other side, I don't want a completely free style of offense. You cannot do what you want. We have 5 players in the court, and so you have to respect all your teammates, and you cannot do what you want anytime. You have to do what you want, respecting the movement and the positions of your teammates. So that's why I try to run a conceptual offense. And of course, in the book is more clear this, this point, but I don't want completely freedom for the players. I don't want to force them to do something that I want. So I want them to discover the game. That's why I run the conceptual offense.
Yeah, it sounds great. And it's definitely something that we're both aligned on for this. How do you use small-sided games to give them more of a clear understanding of the concepts that you want them to understand? And then the next question is kind of the similar thing, Francesco, is since you don't want rules, I love that. You want them to think on their own. How much free reign do you give? How much freedom do you give them? And how do you know when it's time to pull it back and be a little bit more structured? Yeah, I know that's the trick.
This is the big challenge because this is funny, but this is really tough, sometimes because when you give freedom, normally when they are so young, 15, 16, 17 years old, they can go everywhere. They can do a lot of bad mistakes too. But I use small-sided games and funny games since they are 12, 11, 13, 14. So basically they know when to pass, when it's useful to dribble, maybe to drive to the basket, when it's useful to play low post, and where they can go, how to find free space in the court, and how to spacing in the court. So with small sided games and with conceptual offense, it's not easy to control the game, and basically you cannot do it. But sometimes you have to, to give some restrictions. In this period with my team, they cannot play handoff and pick and roll. So I don't like rules, but I gave this rule because they do it too much handoff, too much pick and roll. They don't cut. They don't try to beat the man, their man without the ball. They don't play low post because it's too easy to do a handoff or a pick and roll, and they don't want it. I want to force them to play without the ball, to cut, to screen, not on the ball. So I gave now a rule that I don't like, but it's the way to control a little bit, to help them to do something that they don't know. So it's a challenge. It's day by day. It's a non-stop challenge, because sometimes you have to shut up during the practice and let them play. Sometimes you have to stop any times to try to help them to find a good solution in the game. Big challenge. Great question.
Coming from, I think a lot of coaches have different philosophies, but as because I also deal with youth, I believe that we want to create well-rounded basketball players. So say, for example, if you have a girl who is very young, who is very tall, or a boy who's very young, very tall, we want to put them, and okay, you only rebound, you only pass to the fast guys, and they dribble out the corner. How do you make sure that everybody has a well-rounded understanding of the game with well-rounded skills, so when they get older, they can go many different directions?
So the first thing is that to win the game is not the goal of the youth, of my team, of my club. To win, if the players are better, probably they will win the game. But I don't care so much about winning a game when they are in the youth, since 17, 18 years old. I like that they want to win. I want to win, but it's not my main goal, because this is the reason why a lot of big kids just take rebounds, maybe set screens sometimes, and play defense and stay in the paint, and that's it. I try to push them to do everything in the court. Also here we have a big challenge, because sometimes if you have a big guy, you have to put him close to the basket because he is not enough coordinated to do something else. But sometimes you have a big kids that can do everything. So it depends. There's not a rule to do this. But if we if we clean up our mind about the meaning of winning or losing, and we set the target in a correct way, and so help them to discover the game, to learn the game, passing, dribbling, shooting, play defense, moving without the ball, set screens, look everything in the court, all the players. If we clean up from the meaning of winning and losing, maybe we discover that we can teach basketball for real when they are really young. But if we want to win, it's a big obstacle to teach basketball to everybody.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about Princeton is it gives you pretty good spacing and allows a lot of different people to do many different things. What is your transition philosophy, offensive transition philosophy, when it comes to running the floor and then going into the 4-out 1-in?
Okay, if my team I said this stuff to my team also. If my team during a game doesn't play Princeton offense, half court offense, I'm really happy. Because if we run a lot, if we play fast break and transition, it means that we don't need to play half court offense. So it's good for us. And so this is another big challenge with this age, with the group age, you know. I have under 16 right now, but also under 18 is more or less the same. The big challenge is I like Princeton style. I wrote a book about conceptual Princeton offense, and I said to my players, please don't play half court offense. Run a lot, it's okay. But on the other side, I like Princeton style, so it's like a challenge in my mind. But I want them to run. I want them to, during the, of course, fast break, 2-on-1, 3-on-2, close to the basket, easy layup, open shot, it's okay. But in transition, I want a man going in the paint to seal, to receive close to the basket for an easy basket, or to open the court for a three-point shot. On the other side, I want the other players really open out of the three-point line, ready to take a shot or to attack the closeouts. So anytime is a free kind of offense, but I want them to stay with one man in the paint, because this man can open all the other teammates, you know, and we are also ready to get into the Princeton half-court conceptual offense, because it's easier to put the low post man or the inside man just to go on the high post and spacing with the other teammates. So I want them to run a lot. I want them in a freedom way to find open shot or easy layups. And then I want a man in the paint, and then we can enter in our offense.
So just going back to the question with if we want everybody to be well-rounded, would you allow anybody to try and be the one in? Like, could it even be a guard? Like, say, for example, if you have a very tall guy and you have a very short guy, would you allow everybody to try that spot there, even though it might not be the best option? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the team. I mean, if I have a very slow big man, of course, he is not comfortable to play outside, and he can lose his passion for basketball, because for him is not possible to attack a closeout, to dribble, or to play too much outside the three-point line, you know. So in this case, the inside man is him. For low post, then high post, and then step by step, day by day, try to put him outside the three-point line. But if in this moment with my under 16 team, I have all the players allowed to go in, because they have no limitations, you know, in their bodies. They can do what they want. It's a good team. They are really good to play in and out. And also a guard can play in, of course. And it's a good way also to teach footwork when they play in. So yes, it depends on the team, but all the players are allowed to go in, of course.
Yeah, I've always wondered that, because say you have a very good post player who is 2 meters 1 at a very early age, right? Then he might not be able to move as well because he's so big at that age. And I was always thinking, because you want him to be well-rounded, but he's not going to find much success on the perimeter. And therefore, you want him to find success. Therefore, he needs a balance. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in the
Yeah.
practice, I can also practice him to play outside also. But during a game, I mean, it's their moment. They should be successful sometimes. So I cannot force someone to do stuff that they cannot do it, you know. So yes, it's a balance problem, a balance question. I don't know how to say, but balance is the correct word.
One of the things, Francesco, that I took from you the most, as much as your book, is you have a great philosophy about the journey of a youth athlete. It's a loop. Can you talk a little bit about that? I don't have a picture of it right now, but I can put it in the show notes. Can you tell me a little bit about that loop? Because I think as youth coaches, that's one of the best things I've ever
heard. What do you mean? The journey? Or
yes.
The journey. Okay.
The journey.
You know the picture, you know, it's like a subway line. It's like a subway line, and of course for them is a journey, is 5 years, 6 years, 7 years of basketball. And the main problem for a coach is not to know a lot of things about basketball, is how to share with the guys this knowledge, and what is the order, in which order I have to teach something. And so I tried this journey, because somewhere you should start. We should start somewhere. And so with this generation of players, I prefer to start from their body, the dribble. I want them to love the ball. You know, when they are 11, 12, they have to love the ball. They should go to the bathroom with the ball. They should go to school with the ball. They should sleep with the ball. The ball should be their best friend, you know. And so for me, the journey starts from the love for the basketball and the love for this sport. Is what I try every day to share with them. And then they have to know that they can play one-on-one with the ball, and they have also teammates, and they have to share this ball with your teammates. And then, you know, we can develop everything. And another great point is that when you watch a under 12, under 11, under 13, under 14 game, they only play full court offense. Is turnover, 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 turnover. It's the same all over the world. I mean, so it makes no sense to teach them half court offense at 11 years old. They have to run, they have to have fun, they have to use the ball, also in the practice. And so I try only to respect the game in all the phases, you know. Of course, at 35 years old, you want to play only half court offense. But when you are 11, 12, 13 years old, you have to play full court. So we start from the ball and from the full court offense. And then they should read the book, because it's more clear in the book, probably, this kind of journey, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the things that I took most out of it, because it's so fascinating how you go from station to station, step by step, with the journey of youth. Now, since you've been dealing with youth basketball players and athletes for so long, what are some of the things that you feel like when you go around the world and speak and see other youth coaches speaking, what are some of the things that you might think that the coaches are doing well, like a lot of coaches doing well? What are some of the things that you feel like we could be doing a better job of?
This is another great question. I mean, I think that sometimes coaches talk too much about against zero, 3-on-0, 4-on-0, 5-on-0. And I feel that technique and spacing is better to teach playing with the defense, not without the defense. For me, it makes no sense to teach basketball against no one. I know that probably coaches in this way can control better the game, but control the game for me is not the correct way to teach basketball. Of course, in youth age, I don't want to speak about senior teams. Of course, they have to do something to force them to do what the coach wants. But in youth ages, high school ages, middle school ages, it makes no sense to coach without the defense. So I think that coaches all over the world are really prepared, they study a lot the technique, the fundamentals. And I learned a lot from all the coaches from all over the world about the fundamentals, the shooting form, dribble, passing. But for me, a lot of coaches put the technique in the wrong position in the practice at the beginning. At the beginning, for me, it makes no sense because they don't know the game. They cannot start from the technique. They should start from the game. And then when they know a little bit about the game, they can do the technique useful to solve the situation of the game. So it's about method. I do the opposite, not to do the opposite, not to be creative, just because I think that it's useful to start from the game. And another thing that I think coaches all over the world do in a bad way is I don't want to judge coaches from all over the world. I mean, we are a lot, and everybody has something different. But during a practice, often the coaches are focused on the attention of the players, and they want players focused on something. Lines, explanations. I don't want that the players listen to me. I don't want that they are focused on me. I don't want that they are focused on the rotation on the lines, They should be focused on the game to solve the situation of the game. So this is funny because with my club, we have a rule. I don't like rules, but we have a rule with the coaches. They cannot do lines and they cannot do explanations during a practice. So it's not easy for them. I apologize with my coaches, but it's not easy. But I think that the players should be focused on the game, on the court, not about something that is not useful for it,
What about building connections with your players and getting them to know them more as people instead of just basketball players? I feel like you're probably a master of that because you've been doing it for so long. How do you, there's a phrase in English that says, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. How do you go about developing a safe learning environment for your players so that they can be vulnerable and making mistakes so that you can see it and then help them?
Yes, it's not easy because mistakes are allowed. So they can make mistakes. And of course, the environment of the club, not only of the coach, should be useful for them. They should be comfortable to make mistakes. That means they should feel the possibility to try something. Of course, the behavior of the coach, of the coaches, is the main thing during a practice in this way. What I like is that when they make mistakes, they look at me not because I get upset with them, but they look at me asking me, well, which was the solution? I mean, during a game, there are problems in the court and they have to solve this problem, you know, in offense, in defense, all the time they have problems. And I don't give them solutions for the problems. They have to manage. Sometimes they make mistakes and they ask me what I have to do, coach. So in that moment, I can go in and say something because they need something. It's always a balance problem, you know. I cannot shout if they play in a bad way. I cannot shout if they make some mistakes in passing. I cannot shout if they maybe there's a misunderstanding with a teammate, but with the behavior, with the respect and the education, of course, I can be also upset for something. But the environment, the president, the general manager, the coach, the assistant coach, the strength and conditioning coach, everybody should know that they can make mistakes. Oh, we have another rule. I don't like rules, but I have another rule. With my team, if in fast break or for a cut, you know, in a cut, backdoor cut, front cut, or something, we try to pass the ball, and the ball goes out of bounds on the baseline in offense. For us, is not a turnover. It means that if you see the possibility to pass the ball on a cut, please do it. Please do it. If the ball goes out of bounds, I don't care. You tried. But if the defense catch the ball, is a problem because they can go fast break. So do the pass as strong as you can, as convinced as you can, and try to pass the ball to a teammate cutting or in fast break. Out of bounds, I don't care.
That's really good because you're like, we talk about a constraints-led approach. This one is actually an emphasis rather than a constraints of what you actually want them to do. That's really good. Like it's more, it's kind of like a reward. You're giving them some ground to work with. If you make a mistake doing this, it's not a turnover. I like that. I like that because you want them to understand this is what you're trying to work on. This is special. Okay, if you try, you don't succeed, that's okay. You get the ball back. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Well, Francesco, you've been so generous with your time, but another thing, because I mean, it's so rare that I have someone who's been doing this with youth for 15 years. What do you guys have going on right now at college? What is your vision for the academy, and what do you see in the coming future?
So we are in movement anytime. So the the goal of the club is, of course, to help players to become professional players, or maybe just people that know how to stay in group, how to stay together, how to have relations with other people. So this is the main goal of the club. But now we have to, I think, to move. We want to move in a European or world mentality. So we are opening a prep team that will have players from all over the world for two reasons. The main reason is that we have structure, we have coaches, we have everything to develop good players. And so we are open to players from all over the world. And on the other side, there's the thing that if we are open to people from all over the world, we will be better day by day, because what we are doing, me and you, I'm in Italy, I mean, you are in Hong Kong, it's amazing, and we can grow up together, and that's why we are opening everything to players and coaching from all over the world. But of course, the main goal is to help these players to become professional players as much as we can.
One of the last things I want to talk to you, because I think it's so important. You touched upon it. You have everything that you need at your hands to make a very good basketball player. I want to talk about culture. What is some of the cornerstones, the most important pieces of developing a strong culture at college basket?
Yeah. So readiness, they have to be ready. We want them ready anytime to play, to behave. I want to see passion in their eyes, So what we try to do when they are really young is be ready, smile, look, everything, and play. I know maybe it's not like we want education. Yes, of course we want education, or we want respect. Yes, of course we want respect. But for me, we are not policemen. We are coaches. It's not the same. Sometimes coaches forget this, but the main stone is readiness and smiling. That's it. We want an enthusiastic environment. And we behave in this way as coaches to give them the example. So sometimes coaches ask me, how can you be, why your players are so happy, so free, they are smile anytime. Why? How to behave to reach this goal? We are an example, and sometimes we forget this thing. We are an example. So if I'm happy, I have passion for basketball, I go in the court, I'm smiling, I try to help them. It doesn't need to speak about education and respect. They have it. We are an example. That's it.
Yeah. And here's second to last question I have for you, because it's just so rare that I get someone of your position who's been working with kids for so long. What is usually the youngest age that you identify a player, Francesco? Around what age? Yeah.
It depends on the player.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 14, 15, 16 years old, you can you can see, but sometimes they arrive later, or sometimes you have a big talent and at 12 years old, you know, it depends, you know.
Right. And what and when you and what are you looking for when you identify players? I'm not expecting you have a checklist, but like what I'm asking you is, obviously there is the appearance that is easy to see. Oh, this guy is so tall. Wow, he can really handle the ball. He can shoot the ball. But there's also the intangibles. That is the fight, the heart, the knowledge, like the readiness, like you just mentioned. This is an impossible. What is more important is what I'm asking you.
You know
in your
what?
experience. Yeah.
When I go for recruitment, I go all over the country, all over the Europe.
Right.
You know, this generation is the generation of phones.
Yeah.
So they are anytime in their life with the eyes on the phone. So their eyes look down anytime. They are like this, you know, they look down. When I see a player, a young guy play with eyes up, look at the court, pass, speaking maybe, for me it's amazing. It's incredible because 20 years ago it was normal. Right now it's not normal. So when I see a player look at the court, ready to play, and maybe speak with the teammates, for me it's amazing. He's a big talent right now.
Yes, communication is definitely something that I feel like every team can do better, especially our team, because communication is a big part, especially of culture, but also interaction on the court. It's very important. So Francesco, I'm so grateful for your time, but just before we finish, can you let everybody know if they have questions for you, where can they find you, where can they reach you, and tell everybody where they can get your wonderful book.
Okay, the book is on Amazon. It's enough to write free entry to search, and I think it's the first one, free entry, is my book. So everybody can find free entry, the book, on Amazon in their country. So it's easy. And of course, they can text me about the book or about everything on Instagram and Twitter, Fra Coach Rossi. So my name on the social media is Fra Coach Rossi, and they can ask me everything. And of course, if you want to share my email with everybody, it's not a problem. I'm happy to answer or to ask something to coaches all over the world, you know.
I'd highly recommend that everybody go and get Francesco's book and take another step. He's offered to help anybody who's getting in touch with him. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to basketball. But for me, even more importantly, he's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to developing leaders and great people. So thank you, Francesco, so much for coming on the podcast. I look forward to developing a great relationship with you and bringing our team over to Italy to work with you. But more importantly, to come over and for me to experience Italy and enjoy some wine and good food with you. I really look forward to that.
Thank you. You can come here when you want. And for the red wine, I'm the best, so no problem. You are my host, no problem.
Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate all your time. We'll speak soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao. See you.